Hello, everyone, and welcome to OHSCA Interviews. I'm Vasu Bharadwaj, and I am your host for today's episode. Today, I'm happy to have with Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks so much for having me on.
Well, we're definitely very excited to have you on. We know that you've been a big player in politics for many, many years, and it's good to see that you finally ran at a provincial level. And all the work that you've been doing is great. Like, especially, I saw on your social media recently about the Anti-Hate Act, which is your ministry is making a groundbreaking movement.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that. Thank you for bringing that up. That's one piece of one plan that our ministry is working on here in citizenship and multiculturalism, and really with the end goal of making sure that Ontario remains one of the greatest places on earth for people from all walks of life, from all corners of society, and from all backgrounds to call home. And the anti-hate action plan, which we'll be rolling out in the coming month or so, will be just another piece of making that a reality for all Ontarians.
Well, that's very good to hear. So, Michael, I want to start this interview off, and I wanted to ask you, how did you get started into politics? And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, that's a great question. I actually started in politics just under 10 years ago. I ran in the Toronto's municipal elections for trustee in the Toronto District School Board. I served for about 2 years on the Toronto District School Board, and then I ended up running in for Toronto City Council in a by-election, which was actually my uncle Rob, the former mayor of the city. It was his seat when he was on council. I ended up running and getting elected in 2016, and have served as a Toronto City Councillor for the last six years or so, and then just recently moving on to the provincial government in the 2022 general elections. Really my drive to get involved in politics comes from a couple of different angles, I would say. But first and foremost, my drive to, really be a part of the community. And I've done that in pretty all aspects of my life, going through school, whether it's helping out at different community events or whatnot, volunteering at different events or organizations. Um, so really, the drive to be involved in community is one. But I definitely have to say my family had a big part of it in my upbringing. With my uncle Rob, I saw him during my younger years serve the residents of North Etobicoke on Toronto City Council as a fierce advocate for them, and then going on to be the mayor of the city, and along with Doug as a councillor, really doing some amazing work there. And that really inspired me to get involved in politics. I also can't forget my grandfather, who was also a member of provincial parliament during in 1995 and 1999. So public service has ran in my family for a long time. I've been brought up in that, and it truly is an honor to be here as the member of provincial parliament for York South-Weston and the Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism.
Yeah, well, it's good to see. I have to say, through all the years that your family has been in politics, nothing but good has sorry, nothing but yeah, so good has happened. You guys made lots of progress, lots of things to help Ontarians. So I want to kind of transition your experience as a trustee and counselor into our question. So thank you, Michael, for your time, and thank you for joining us today. So we're going to start off the interview with the question and answer segment. These questions are asked by the members of our high school team. So this first question is from me, and I wanted to ask you, what experiences from being a trustee and counselor have given you to better represent your constituents of York South-Weston?
Well, I think that's a great question. One of the things is really what I hold close to myself in public office as a value is making sure that my door is open to everyone, regardless of political background. I know that I'm a member in the Conservative Party of Ontario, and I'm very proud to be one. But it's always listening to different perspectives, which I've done as a trustee, which is definitely it's a nonpartisan level of government, as well as a municipal city councilor, again nonpartisan. So you're always working across the aisle. So definitely the values of understanding where people are coming from and differences, while holding true to conservative values, which we all agree with for the most part, and that's very important. Um, but as a municipal, politician, the other really important thing is really having your feet on the ground and in the community. And look, people will send you to their, elect you to their whatever the respective positions are, for a reason. You as a municipal politician, I'm saying a as a politician and as a servant of the community and the people, you have an obligation to follow through with what you set out to do, uh, because that's what the electorate put you there to do, which I hold very close to myself, as a member of provincial parliament, and I think Ontarians sent a very clear message in the June 2022 election, that they want to see progress, which our government has committed to doing. And we have been demonstrating right up to this moment that we are delivering, we are building transit, we are building schools, we are investing in education, we are investing in healthcare, and we're growing our economy. And those are some of the key pillars that we said we were going to do, and we're doing it.
Yeah. And I want to kind of touch on one of the points that you made, which I think is fantastic. And that is accepting people of all political stripes, right? And allowing everybody to come to your door. Because at the end of the day, we're all Ontarians, we're all Canadians, right? And we all need to still function as a country, right? And we may have different political beliefs and ideologies, but then again, we're all Canadians and we still all need to, learn, go to work, and, function as a country. So it's definitely great to see that your government is accepting of everyone, right?
Absolutely. No, look, it's critical. And look, in the last election, I would say actually back in 2018, but even under the 2022 provincial election, we saw people from all political stripes, all traditional political stripes, voting, for our party, and under the leadership of Premier Ford, um, really endorsing that vision. Right, I am honored to be here representing the riding of York South-Weston, which hasn't been a PC riding in over 70 years. And it was an honor to be elected, that night, and do the work that my community sent me down to Queen's Park to do. But look, the traditional, our party under the leadership of the Premier has really reached out across party lines and said, look, we are a big blue tent. And we have people in our party from all different walks of life, and from all political backgrounds.
Yeah. And our next question actually focuses on one of the points you just made about how your riding hasn't been voted under the Progressive Conservatives in such a long time. So Hayden from York Simcoe asks, what did it feel like winning in a riding that has never voted Progressive Conservative in at least recent history? And what do you think this shows about the future PC movement?
Well, I think that's a great question from Hayden, and a shout out to the folks in York Simcoe. And but look, it was a very special night for me. It was an election that I was out at tens of thousands of doors throughout the campaign and my team, and really interacted with the residents of York South-Weston, and really, their voices have been ignored for a number of years, and we've heard that. We heard the frustration at the doors where, it's been traditional Liberal NDP representatives. And the folks in York South-Weston wanted to shake it up a bit and give it a change. So it's an honor to be put there. Look, I think us turning York South-Weston to the PC party really came from a number of factors, but I think the key thing it was the Premier's message and our government's message on investing in transit, building infrastructure, investing in schools, healthcare, and getting really what we talked about was getting it done. And the other parties throughout the election and going up into the election, they weren't saying yes to a lot of stuff. They were saying no, no, no. And we were the only party saying yes, yes, yes. And we were the only party talking about a forward vision. I think people in York South-Weston wanted to see that. And I think that showed on election night.
Yeah. And it's not really only your riding. As we saw in the past election, the Progressive Conservative Party gained many seats. They have a majority of over 80 seats in Parliament, right? So it's great to see that the future of the PC movement is growing. And it shows that under Premier Ford's leadership, he was getting it done. He was getting the job done, and he was doing good for Ontario. And people believe in that. People saw that. So it's good to see that the people of Ontario are putting their faith in the PC party.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. You look at ridings in Windsor, ridings in the north, up in Timmins. These are all traditional NDP. I would say NDP blue collar worker support bases. They really saw a difference. In what our party was putting forward, and I really thank them for the support, not just from York South-Weston, but from across the province.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to our third question. And this is going to talk about more so about the work that your ministry is doing. So
Yep.
this comes from me, and I want to ask you, with the new development of the first ever anti-hate action plan, what will this generally invest in, and how will this help to develop a place for all Ontarians?
Well, look, it is going to be a plan that let me kind of go back a bit. So we started working on this plan a few months ago. Right, one of the first days of coming in the ministry, this was one of my first tasks on the desk to get that rolling, and we have been doing it. And I've been traveling or visiting many communities across the province, visiting many places of worship, many different community leaders, ethnic leaders, ethnic community groups, and really engaging to hear, what's going on in their world and in their perception, and some of the challenges we face. Look, there's no denying it that we've seen a definite increase in acts of hate towards many different groups of people here in our province, but we've seen it around the world. So what we have done in this anti-hate action plan is start to consult communities. I've been a part of every single consultation my ministry has done. I've been there. I've rolled up my sleeves. I've taken notes. I really want to have my eyes and ears on the ground to really build this from the ground up. So we've been doing that. We're still in it, but it's getting close to the final product that we will present of course, to the government and to cabinet, but of course, present it to the people of Ontario. But really, what it is, and what we're starting to zoom in on, is really around prevention, hate crime prevention. Also, from a legal standpoint and from a criminal justice point of view, where if you're committing these acts of hate, you're going to pay the price for them. but we also look at offender rehabilitation, victim support, particularly work in the education sector around prevention, and really making sure that as our youth across the province are going through school, understanding that look, we are one of the most diverse societies in the world, and we have to respect one another. It doesn't matter uh, you know, um, what you believe in, or who you love, or whatever it may be. We all have to be respectful of one another, and that's critical. And just building an accepting society. We've really focused on that. There's going to be a number of other things in there that we're working on. It's also cross government and all the government approach. So, I mentioned working with the Ministry of Education, also, Ministry of Children and Social Services, the Ministry of the Attorney General, the Solicitor General. Yeah, definitely a long list. So we're nearing the end of it. I'm really looking forward to announcing it in the coming weeks. But that's kind of what people can expect.
Yeah. And I think you made one very important point there. One, it's to listen to the community, right? And to listen to those who have been affected. And I think the most powerful tool that we have is listening to others, right? And to see what others have gone through, to see what we can do in the future to prevent it. And I think you're doing a fantastic job, your whole government and ministry, with this new act.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm again, as I said, I'm looking forward to sharing it once we get it done, and should be in the coming weeks.
All right. And our final part of the Q&A segment is one last question, and it comes from Hayden from York Simcoe. So he wanted to ask you, what is your number one priority of your ministry with multiculturalism and citizenship?
Well, I think, as I said at the beginning, my number one priority is making sure that people from all walks of life and Ontarians from all walks of life can call Ontario home and feel safe and welcomed, period. And I think that's the most important thing. And we're going to continue to work on that each and every day. And we're going to do that through a number of ways, right? It's the anti hate action plan, Ontario's anti-racism strategy that we're going to be going out and reconfiguring over the coming months. That's more work. We want to make sure that communities, ethnic communities, marginalized communities, individuals who need a helping hand have it. I think that is also very important. And particularly one of the big conversations is with employment, right? We've heard some stuff over the last couple months about, the economy and where it's going and all that talk, right? We want to make sure that people who face those systemic barriers here in Ontario have a helping hand to get into the job market, to be a part of Ontario's economy, and to be to have good wages and a roof over their head, and really feel empowered and have that, right. But there's so many other different things that we're going to be working on, but I want to make mention of that specific. But yes, there'll be a number of things that my ministry will be working with other ministries on over the next while.
Yes, and it's definitely good and reassuring to hear that, not only as a supporter, but as an Ontarian, that you guys are creating a place for all people, right? And are inclusive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So we'll be moving on to the advice for the next generation, where we will be talking about youth involvement in politics and more. So, as a final part of this interview, I want to ask you, what should young high school conservatives do in order to get more politically active? And what is one piece of advice that you'd like to give them?
Yeah, look, you know what? I really think the one of the biggest piece of advice I have is kind of When I kind of did earlier on in my time in high school was just get involved in your community, understanding some of the work that's out there, follow your passions and in terms of what excites you, where do you want to be in a few years from now. I wouldn't be so you don't have to be worried about 20 years from now, but what are your current passions? Where do you want to go in post-secondary, whether it's into the skilled trades or college or university or whatever you may want to do that. Really get involved in what you're passionate about. From a political lens, get involved in politics, get involved in government, and reach out to your local, city council, your local MPP, your local MP. There's always events that we're hosting that you can get involved with. I have a number of people that I've worked with in the past as a Toronto City Councillor who've come out, and I'm sure as my time as an MPP goes on, we'll be doing that as well. But I guess my second piece of advice, and this isn't for whether it's conservatives or whatnot, for anyone, and I think for the upcoming generation, doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you'll find yourself on, and obviously that evolves over time. One of the biggest thing I can say is always have an open mind, right, and always respect where other people are coming from. What I've seen in politics, it's become so divisive when it doesn't have to be, right? And I think that's the most important thing. Is just kind of sit back, whether you're conservative and understand where other people are coming from. But if you have different values, or if you align more to the left or with the NDP or Green Party or Liberals, just have an open mind and respect for one another. That's a big thing.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point with especially your second piece of advice is, be accepting, right? Have an open mind. You don't have to necessarily change your values, but hear out other people. And to your first point of advice, which is to get involved, I couldn't agree with you more. I think I made one of the best decisions of my life. Although I haven't been able to make too many decisions yet, but I was able to volunteer last year in the federal election and this year in the provincial election. And not only was I able to build connections and network with like-minded people, but I was also able to just get involved and represent what I believe in, right? My values, and get to meet new people. So I think getting involved is probably the best thing you can do as a young conservative.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
And I think that wraps it up. So thank you, Mr. Ford, for your time today. We really appreciate you being here with us, and we wish you well in the future.
Thank you very much. And if you or any of your viewers are down at Queen's Park, make sure you come by and say hello. All right?
Yes, we sure will. And that's it. We hope you enjoyed today's interview. You can look for more videos coming soon. Make sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok accounts at Ontario HS Cons for more information about our next interview and for more great content. Make sure to look at our website, ontariohsconservatives.org, to learn more about us and to see our projects and for more great content. If you enjoyed today's interview, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't forget to click the notification bell and you never miss a video. We hope to see you all soon, and thank you for listening.